Hi, and welcome back to Ultra Chill. On a platform like what Ultra has been building, the content is just as, or more important than the platform itself. Today we have with us Janneke from our Bizdev team to talk about that content, about GDC, and the pipeline we have put in place to bring you the best that the ecosystem has to offer. Let's get to it. Hi, welcome. How's the trip?
Good, good. I mean, it was the first time in like 2 years that I went to a conference. In my previous jobs, it was something that I did, several times a year. It was a really big part of it. And then for 2 years, it stopped. So kicking off with GDC, which is one of the biggest events, was fun. And it was like a great way to sort of dive back into it.
For everybody that really doesn't know what GDC is, you want to give us the lowdown? What is it? What does GDC stand for? Let's start with that.
Games Development Conference, I think that it is.
How big was it? How long was it?
So the conference is roughly 5 days. The floor only opens for 3 though. So at first you already have all the meetings on like Monday and Tuesday, but that is before you can really sort of enter the floor and see the booths and stuff like that. So from Wednesday onward, you can go into this huge building. It connects under the street, and you can talk to all sorts of gaming companies, anything from um, artificial hands that people use to create like in-game effects to students that develop their own game and are showcasing it, and anything in between. So it's some of the biggest companies, some of the smallest companies. Lots of the meetings are held in all of the hotels around the block there. um, so that's a little bit what it is like. You will see all sorts of people walking around with like the badges from GDC, and every restaurant that you go into, they ask if you're there for the game conference. You get stopped in the street by people that want to know what it is about. So it pretty much takes over San Francisco for roughly a week.
What was there a lot of talk about NFTs, blockchain, and the metaverse in general at GDC, or is that kind of like, a small part of what we do, or a big part of what we do, but a small part of what they do?
No, no. So it's definitely was part of a lot of conversations, in part because some people do not really understand it, but obviously it gets, thrown around quite a lot. And you can definitely see that there's a big difference between, companies that work on it all the time and companies that are trying it out a little bit. Also, when you are on the conference hall, there is sort of a stretch, which is completely, for blockchain games, blockchain companies. So it was definitely a part of the conversation, and obviously for us, it came up in every single chat that we had, and you could really notice the different levels in which people are thinking about it and talking about it.
Can you give us a kind of gross figure of how many meetings you guys went through in the 3 to 5 days that you were there?
Sure. So we had roughly 33 scheduled meetings. And beside that, you pretty much chat to, anybody that you bump into or while you're waiting. Then you also go on the floor and you just sort of ad hoc go up to people or go to the
Right.
booths of companies that you like. And then there are the parties, which is pretty much like, networking, but with a drink in your hand. So there was quite a few.
33 meetings in, it was 5 days that you guys were out there?
Yeah, but Friday, everybody sort of left on Friday. So like four days in which those 33 meetings were scheduled.
That's an insane amount of meetings to go through in 4 days.
Yeah, I actually I checked my steps, and it is pretty much just a 5 block radius, and like one day I walked 16 kilometers in total, which is a
Holy
lot of
moly.
walking back and forth between meetings. So
So, any exciting encounters that you can share? I know that that's like a tough question because we're super secretive about who we talk to and for good reason, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
yeah, I mean, we went there to meet some of the partners that are already announced. So we had a meeting with AMD. If some of you saw a picture on LinkedIn of David, sharing a presentation on a laptop, that was in the AMD suite. which is really good. We have bi-weekly catch-ups with them, and lots of people are on that call, and it was actually quite interesting to sort of, put the actual faces to all of the voices that you always hear. Beside that, we had several catch-ups with partners that I cannot say much about, but it was really good to have an in-depth catch-up. One of our potential partners came out from LA. They drove out just to see us, and we had like a 4-hour meeting with them. So, you sometimes get a lot more done if you just sit next to each other in a Starbucks and go over a product instead of, 1 or 2 hours a week that you can normally do.
I want to tell everybody what we've been working on.
I know it's really difficult. Actually, some of the people from our community also came out to meet us.
That's
And then
right.
yeah, which is really cool. But then you have like the weird sensation of like, okay, this is somebody from the community. What can I say? What can't I say? But you're also just having a, normal conversation with them about like what your day's been like and some of the stuff that you're working on. So,
And they're milking you for every last drop of information that they can get out of you.
well, a little bit, but actually they had a lot to offer themselves. So we might actually be able to work with them on a few things.
Very cool.
So yeah, community as well as potential contributor, and obviously they are advocates for Ultra in general. So that the community sort of atmosphere at Ultra is something that I hadn't experienced before at the other companies that I worked with.
Yeah, the Ultra community is the best. Ultra is life. Ultra is life. Last thing that I wanted to talk to you today about was the Bizdev pipeline. So the team met with dozens and dozens of groups at GDC, and now there's a lot of work that will go into eventually signing them onto our platform. Can you go into a bit about how that process works?
Sure. So it might be a little bit different from me than it is for example, Ed or Donald. So Ed and Donald focus very much on the games that we will distribute on, on the Ultra game platform. I work with partners on all sorts of different projects. So every single partner that I talk with pretty much has a different setup. So for me, it is a little bit different than it might be for them. But in general, you would have a meeting. Sometimes you do not know somebody. Sometimes you already had a few chats. During the meeting, you obviously are able to show Ultra in a bit more detail. And then you hopefully have some follow-up points. You follow up with them. Most of the time, you'll have an extra call after. In my case, that is very much based on sort of all of the different aspects that a brand or a project or a creator might need, and then you have to write a specific contract for their situation. And then obviously we also connect with the product team to make sure that all of the cool and creative ideas that we want to do with these partners are can be done. A lot of these features have to be developed. So it is very much both an internal effort as well as an external effort for a lot of the partners that I work with.
I'm sure that there were a lot of strong opinions within the gaming, the developer, and the publisher community about NFTs. Can you talk a bit about the Bizdev team's methodology in dealing with those?
Sure. So it is a little bit, again, it's different for me than it might be for Donald or Ed. So a lot of the time when I speak to people, it means that they want to do a project with us.
Right.
A lot of them don't necessarily understand NFTs yet, but they are interested and they see it as part of what is going to be really, really big in this industry. So they actually come to us to sort of be their first connection, with this new thing in the gaming industry, and they ask us, right, we want to work with you, we want to do something with NFTs. How do we do it? Help us dip our toe in the water. That's pretty much it. And then what we do is that we actually come up with a proposal for them of how we can work together. That can be for a game developer. It can be, NFTs for marketing efforts, community efforts, as well as later on, for example, internal NFTs, so playable NFTs that can be integrated into a game. So for me, I talk to a lot of people that are interested. They might not understand it, and you have to take it very slow. But there's definite interest in it. Now, we do work with some publishers or developers that are very interested about working with Ultra and having their game published, on Ultra games, but not necessarily wanting to do much with NFTs or blockchain yet. They think it's a little tricky. Indeed, a lot of gamers have a lot of opinions about it. And that is for now also okay. We can obviously explain why our NFTs are different than some of the things that are currently out there. And I think sort of misunderstanding or miscommunication about NFTs are in part what gamers hate. They think it's just a way to make quick money, but you do not actually get any value about it. And I think that is what a lot of people are a bit afraid of and why they might be hesitant.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of facets of the work that we do, the technology that we use, and all of the complexity that goes into, connecting all of those pieces. I really appreciated your time today. It was really interesting to talk to you. I'm really excited about the outcome for the stuff from GDC, and I know that the community is too. So thanks again.
Perfect. Thank you so much.